Now to Victoria and a huge legal win against the odds. 83 people living in over-50s estates in Melbourne have taken on the ASX-listed company Lifestyle Communities, accusing it of charging exorbitant exit fees when they move out. This week, they won their case. A Victorian tribunal ordering the company to stop the practice. The decision will impact thousands. Justice Ted Woodward also heard that some families had been forced to continue paying rent for their relatives after they had died. Investigative reporter Adele Ferguson exposed the practice on 7:30 last year. She joins me now. Adele, why is this such an important victory for those people?
It was a really tough thing that they did. They took on a company where they were living. And what it means is that anyone who actually sold their property and were charged a 20% exit fee, going back years, they're now eligible to get that back from the company, as well as the ones that are living there now and about to sell. So it's on average $88,000. For some people, it's $200,000. So it's a huge amount of money.
You're right that it's brave, especially for those people who are living in those properties. But just in relation to people who have, or the families of people who, either people who've left the homes or died and their families, can they also claim the money back, or is it only going to be for people who are living there now?
No, it's retrospective. So it's people who have already sold, and if they've died and their families got the estate, they can also go to the company and ask for the money back.
And, you know, we said at the beginning, this is really like it's like a David and Goliath struggle, because you've got, you know, a number of residents fighting this very big company. How's the company, have they responded already? And otherwise, how do you anticipate that they will respond to this?
So they went back onto the stock exchange today and the share price fell 37%. So, you know, hundreds of millions of...
Yeah.
Massive. They've said they want to appeal, and they're asking the judge if they can stay all of these decisions until after the appeal. So we'll just have to wait to see what happens. But
you're the one that brought us this story, so obviously you were in contact with some of the people living in these homes. They've obviously just been through a very demanding process, taking this big company to court. How will they handle, do you think, being made to do an appeal if they have to carry on with this?
They will be absolutely devastated, because it's very clear. The judge said 18 times it was unconscionable what was done, and it was in the Residential Tenancy Act. They hadn't done the right thing, so it was void. So that's really black and white. So to appeal it is really just buying time.
Right, and buying time also means hoping that more people presumably are not around to fight the battle?
Absolutely. Some of these people are very elderly.
So just go back to that word unconscionable. So is it possible briefly to just remind people what was so unconscionable about what the company was doing?
They were doing a couple of things. One, they were charging dead people rent, which was shocking. So it meant that if somebody died and the family inherited the property, they couldn't even move in for a few weeks. While they sold it, they couldn't move in at all. It had to be sold, and until it was sold, they were paying rent. Secondly, with the exit fees, that was up to 20% of how much you sold the property for. And it was a retired detective that had discovered, when he looked at the contract, it didn't stack up. And that's why this all came out.
And so presumably I remember the story, when ordinary people faced with those contracts, they were very confusing, the section about the exit fees and how it functioned.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very confusing. But it was clear cut. When you looked at the Residential Tenancy Act and you looked at the contract, they couldn't do what they were doing.
Is it your view that what the company did, they did intentionally, knowing that they would bamboozle residents?
I think in a lot of cases these contracts are intended to bamboozle people, because even the lawyers don't understand some of these contracts. People will go to a lawyer and they're so complicated that even the lawyers don't know.
So it took this victory to bring it home. Adele Ferguson, it was a very strong story in the first place, and it's very fitting that you're in tonight to talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.